question. Is there ever a moment of like celebration or relief? Like, is there ever that feeling? Or is it just like
You never finish.
it's not good?
You never finish. Even today, you never finish. You look at the, I don't know if he was in his religion or anything, but I look at the Tea Party book, and I said, what happened to you? You know, I mean, they look like they hate people. I mean, it's almost all over you. So you never finish. You have to be ever vigilant. And I tell kids, I said, you need to be able to read and distinguish that which is fact and that which is not. Listen to all the different broadcasts that you hear on the news. And you can distinguish almost the differences between the philosophies such that you can come out with something that you can live with.
I can remember being, I can remember we celebrated after the public library was desegregated. It looked like it was, because that was a long period, like the first part of the year, and then we went like a whole year of boycotting, you know, the courts and that kind of thing. So the March on Washington definitely was a celebration. I even went back in '83. I didn't make it for 2000.
We celebrated when my husband won the election. Because there were so many people involved. And then when he became mayor, and he was the first black mayor since Reconstruction, the whole state of Virginia. I mean, even Richmond hadn't been able to pull that one. And that was the time when we celebrated. But again, we could not be content to just thoroughly enjoy it.
I had 2 periods of atonement, 2 periods. First period of atonement I had was in Europe when I met George Wallace's nephew. I hated this, hated it. And for to see somebody with a face that's just like George Wallace, and we became such good friends. He loved me, I loved him back. Bob Wallace. It was like all that I had hated and went through, he broke it to me. We was friends. And he was my best friend. For a person to leave Virginia with the radical things that had happened from what I heard, nigger lover and all that kind of stuff, that yet that I confront the face of a man like George Wallace's nephew. And I loved that man. We became friends. And the last time I had a day of atonement was in Obama. That night, he was president. He was president. When they said that the capital of the Confederacy, Virginia, had went for Obama, it seemed like all that flushed out. When Obama became president, that was my final day of atonement. And I felt good about it. That was it.
I felt good when we had the 114th anniversary of Zion Baptist, and we had a lot of the civil rights fighters came together, and Dr. Y.T. Walker spoke. This was at Zion Baptist, I think November 13, around 2005.
Well, you know, let me say a quick word about the church. As I look at it, I personally met Dr. Martin Luther King in 1956. He was in Virginia to speak for the Virginia Teachers Association that had an annual meeting on the campus of Virginia Union. And after he spoke on that Friday afternoon, I had to carry him back to the airport. That's been just the 2 of them. He's a couple years old now. And I thought about that time, I said, now this man, and I've heard him speak on the radio and I hadn't seen him until that time. I said, if we can do that, we ought to be able to do something too. So what happened to me and to so many other preachers, they got involved all around this nation. The preachers were involved because SCLC came in. It was a church movement. Comsita mentioned you learn how to practice nonviolence in basement churches. the rallies were held in churches. The mass meetings were held in churches. The mass meetings were used to inform people and keep that sense of celebration and continuity. We don't have those anymore. And until the church lost its savor, it could do that. But now the church had some other item on the agenda and had not quite been as available to nurture this thing as it's done. That was a very important part of it, the church. We met at the church. We were inspired in the church. The leadership came from the church.
Yes.
That's not their part of the senior. That's another reason why we're born.